Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Games podcast. I'm your host Patrick. Joining me, as always, my sweet dumpster boy with that sweet grin on his face. Kamen, how are you, sir?
Man, Patrick, I'm just fucking. I literally sprinted into this recording. Sprinted into this recording.
That's why you look so slim right now. You just lost like 15 pounds.
I probably did just in stress alone to get here in time to present myself.
You're a consummate professional. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You bring nothing but the best here, and I appreciate you for it.
I don't know if professional or the best of anything is accurate for my standing within this show. Let's be honest, Patrick. You are 100% the backbone. I am just a flabby flesh that surrounds it.
Well, the good news is flabby flesh is important this day and age.
I suppose that's possibly fair.
For some reason, let's try this again, Mike. Say something for me.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Here we are. No, I could hear you, but my phone headphone, like my phone stole my headphones from me.
Yeah, that happens all the time. It's just a fucking.
I tell you what. Kamen, you might have noticed at the very beginning, when I introduced this episode, I didn't give us a number, as I often do. I often say, welcome to episode, 12. This was, years ago at this point, episode 12, not years, but
it feels like it. It feels like we've been doing this forever.
It surely does feel like it. But the reason I didn't give us a number is because we're unofficially calling this episode 68.5. Last week being episode 68. And the reason being, you might laugh, you might say, Patrick, what's the point? A number is just a concept. Next week, as of recording, exactly a week from today, on the 14th of February, will be Valentine's Day.
It's true.
And episode 69. And the synergy just felt too good. I got some ideas on what episode 69 can be all about, but it felt like maybe we would be robbing our community of a glorious moment to be able to have episode 69 on Valentine's Day itself.
True.
Agree or disagree?
I 1000% agree. I don't think there's any question about it, to be honest.
Fantastic. Maybe episode 69 will just be a live look at Kamen and I 69ing, and we'll never be allowed on Twitch ever again. You're going to have to come next week live to find out, folks.
I mean, wouldn't be the first time we've done some weird public sexual act that we've got banned from certain locations from. So
that's true.
Why not turn down the opportunity today?
Sequoia High School 2009. You had to be there.
You had to be there.
You had to be there. Liz in the chat. Hey, Liz. How you doing? I think that I know of, at least, this is the first time you've chatted on Spotlight Games. So I hope that I didn't just scare you from coming back ever again. But hey, sex sells. So I've been told. Kamen, we have an exciting show today. We got some fun stuff to talk about. We're going to create the definitive top 10 Nintendo Switch game list together on the fly. We've had no prep for this. This is an idea I thought of literally 7 minutes ago. And so we're going to get to it. But before we get to any of that, we got some housekeeping, because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we talk about the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time, like we are right now, on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Kamen, it's Tuesday as of recording.
It's true.
And that means two things. It means three things. One of them being that we're recording here live, which we've already covered. The second thing being, we got a new episode of Spotlight TV up on podcast services talking about episode 4 of The Last of Us. But arguably the most important thing is that we got a new episode of Save Trash Cinema talking about sorority babes in the slime ball boulderama. Tell the folks at home about that raunch.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. I feel like we're careening towards a moment where we're going to have an episode that's just going to be the cancel us episode. And we're getting one step closer with this week. I legitimately, so of course, I listen back to it to edit it to make sure that the episode sounds good and to make sure that there's no glaring issues, and then clean up any audio and clean up any dead air and all that good stuff, right? That is the worst part of recording any podcast. I think that just should be known, right?
Sure.
Is the work that goes in after recording. Recording is so much fun.
Yes.
It's the editing that's just miserable because you just have to sit there and you just got to just suffer through it. This was one of the first times I was actually excited, Patrick, to actually edit the episode.
Sure.
And then I always listen to it one more time once it's completely edited, once it's released, just to make sure if there's things that we can fix, things that we can adjust, things that we can do better, with the next episode. I think that's very crucial to putting out the best product you can. There was a moment, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but there was a moment probably within the first 20 minutes of this episode. I'm driving to work, sipping on my OJ, right? I love a good OJ in the morning.
You got to get your vitamin C, plain and simple.
I literally squirted orange juice out of my nose. I was laughing so hard. And this is not like me tooting my own horn because I'm not the one who's funny on this episode.
You're squirting your own horn.
There's a lot of squirting on this episode, apparently. God, that just tells you right out. But I legitimately can say I do think that this potentially is the funniest episode we've ever recorded. It is also the nastiest, most raunchy. I could not begin to explain to you how profane, how disgusting, how did this episode get made? I don't even know. I legitimately couldn't tell you, but what I can tell you is it's live right now.
Boom.
And if you go and listen to it, it's on all of your favorite streaming services. Audible, it's on Amazon Music. You can just hit up, you say, hey, Alexa, guess what? Hey, Alexa, play Save Trash Cinema. It'll fucking play the episode. Spotify, Apple, literally wherever you want to fucking listen to it, it's there, okay? Because you want to. Because you want to know why it's as bad as I'm saying it is. And trust me, when you're done with this episode, you will not only agree, but you will be hooked for life. I think this is the episode that hooks people for life.
There you go. Mouth of the South, Liz McLean, guest appearance on there. Because there was only one person that we could bring to talk about sorority babes in the slime ball Bowl-orama.
She has solidified her place in STC history with this episode. Yep. And I have an idea for an upcoming episode that I think we might have an episode coming up that could potentially tip the scale to having this podcast banned forever.
Okay. Fantastic.
So, here's the thing. If we go out, let's go out on top. Just like there you Sergei Hiznich, who was the only writing credit he's ever gotten. Guess what? We're going to do it again.
Boom.
We're going to do it again.
Boom shakalaka. So yeah, go over to your podcast app, subscribe, Save Trash Cinema if you're interested in the sorority babes. I mean, and we didn't even mention Linnea Quigley.
Oh yeah, fuck. That'll tell you just how wild this episode is.
Exactly.
The goddess herself, Linnea Quigley, is in this episode.
Kamen, I think it's time to get on with the show. I think it's time to start this episode how we start every episode of the Spotlight Games podcast, which is what we've been playing. Kamen, you've been a busy boy. You've been buzzing around like the busy bee you are.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, have you played much since we last recorded? I pass the mic to you.
Would you be shocked if I said, yes, I absolutely have?
I would be a little shocked.
Oh, right.
Yes, I would be a little shocked.
I was
expecting you to say nope.
This is the only time that I can agree to you that I'm a consummate professional. Is this one particular instance in which I have not only played one game, I've played two.
Wow.
So I want to first talk about Star Wars, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga.
Yes.
So here's my thing with this. I'll make it brief because I talked about this whenever the last time I played a video game was.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. This is my thing. I think it is an incredible. It's so much fun playing games with my wife. I just love getting some co-op action. I love sitting down next to her and us playing some games, having a good time. With that being said, this is potentially my least favorite Lego game.
Really?
It doesn't feel like a Lego game to me.
Have you played as Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then there's no hope. If playing as Jar Jar Binks didn't help.
But is there a New Hope? See what I did there? That was
I see. I see. I
that was
believe, if I'm not mistaken, A New Hope is the title of the first ever Star Wars movie. I think was
sure.
the reference.
See
Yeah.
what I did? Yeah, I did that. Yeah, no, I don't know, man. Like this doesn't. Here's the thing. I love Lego games. This just doesn't feel much like a Lego game to me. And I think that's my issue that I'm running into. I've been having a ton of fun playing with my wife, but that's like I think where the fun stops.
Mm,
Like if I played the game solo, I just don't think I would enjoy it because it just doesn't feel like that Lego game that I love so much, right? And I think that's my biggest issue. And not like knocking the game. I think the problem is I'm not as big on puzzle games.
yeah.
And this game really leans much, much, much more heavy into the puzzle aspect than I think previous Lego games.
Sure.
And that's what's throwing me. It is fun playing in co-op mode, but like I don't think I would enjoy it playing it solo. And honestly,
Interesting.
I don't even know if I want to even attempt it. I think I'm just just enjoy it for what it's worth when Sid and I get to sit down together. When we do find some spare time, which recently that's been few and far between, but
So this
you
very
know,
much will not be solo a Star Wars story for you.
yeah, bummer.
Bummer.
I
That's
saw
actually
what
I'm
you did
kind
there
of
though.
it's that thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's I'm actually kind of shocked by that, only because of how much I loved the game and played it last year. However, now that I say that, it kind of in a way makes sense because I was
Yeah.
never big on the previous ones and you were. And
Mhm.
this one I was really into and you're not. So it's just another example how we don't get along and we don't like the same things.
True. That's true. That's what makes STC so fantastic is, is that the second game I've been playing, Dead Space.
Yes.
I've been playing Dead
Altman be
Space,
praised.
which unfortunately I'm only maybe 2 to 3 hours in. So
Okay.
obviously I'm not super far into it, but I have to say, rolling off the heels of like the last full game I've played, which was like from start to finish, was Callisto Protocol.
Mhm.
God damn it. This game is just leagues better.
Agree or disagree?
Dead
Dead
Space is
Space.
space, but
It's
it's dead.
space,
Yeah,
but it's dead.
that's pretty accurate as a synopsis. If you were just to write a one-line tagline, that's
Nailed it.
absolutely true. Did you know, Patrick, there is a film called Dead Space, unrelated to the series, because there's Dead Space animated films. You know, there's a live-action Dead Space film. Came out decades before the
I had
game.
no idea.
You know? Do you want to take a wild guess on who stars in it?
Rucker Hauer.
Close. Bryan Cranston.
What?
Yep, it's accurate. Sure, look it up.
Good for
No,
him.
dude, fuck. Dead Space is just really fucking good.
It's
Like, I don't
so
really,
good.
I think that's the thing. Like, I don't really know any other way to explain it. Like, look, if you played the original Dead Space, like that game's good too. This game is just really good. Like, it's just a really solidly made, built game.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to say this, but like, it's so wild to me that this game feels fresh
Mhm.
even though it's a remake of a game from 2008,
Yeah.
which I cannot get my mind around it. But like, I think the only thing I can say is like, if you're a horror fan, or honestly, just like if you're just a fan of good games, Dead Space you should play it,
Yeah,
hands
for
down.
sure.
Yeah.
I will say, so I finished it since we last spoke.
Mhm.
And I'm considering going through New Game Plus, but I've learned that in order to get the platinum trophy, you have to beat it on Nightmare or Impossible, whatever the highest
Impossible
difficulty is.
mode, yeah.
And I don't think this is how it was in the original. They made it to where in Impossible mode, if you die, it drops you to hard mode.
It does, and it
And
erases your
therefore
save.
and therefore you can't like so you have to beat the game in Impossible mode and not die.
Mhm.
And it's like respectfully, that's not fun for me.
No,
And
you're right.
I want to 100% this video game because I like it that much. But knowing that I won't ever do that has kind of turned me off from wanting to do New Game Plus, even though there's like new story content in it. There's new enemies in it. Apparently, they have like put in a couple new enemies for the New Game Plus mode. So I don't know. I might go back to it. But I was pretty disappointed when I was looking through the trophies and saw that as a requirement.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if you remember, like I will say I think that the game is like the original game was like you had one save slot, but the whole thing was you could use that one save slot whenever you wanted, and if you died, you got reverted back to that save slot. when playing an impossible mode.
Okay.
And like the way that they've done it now is like if you get one save slot, but once you die, that gets reverted to hard mode and your save is erased.
And it's like, what?
So yeah, it's I get what you're doing, but like I also am like that kind of sucks, man.
Yeah, and apparently the one I think like they do make a concession on it, which is apparently in impossible mode, the enemies are easier to kill. It's
Really?
just high risk, high reward, essentially. So like
Sure.
maybe there is a world in which it could be fun. Because I mean, playing this time, I really only died a couple times. But the fact, I mean, you die once and you're done. You make one mistake. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I've been kind of dabbling on my end. We talked last week or the week before about Hitman 3 released this new mode, Freelancer, which is like a roguelike of the Hitman game. And big Hitman fan, loved the first game when it came out a little over maybe almost 2 years ago, if not 2 years ago at this point. And I booted it up to try it out, and I played for like an hour, and it seemed like the bones of it are really cool. Like if you've never played a Hitman game or you just never played Hitman 3, it's probably a good time to pick it up, because I don't think Freelancer works if you haven't played it lately.
Yeah.
Because it very much relies on you understanding the rules of the world and like how things work. Because it basically, like the structure of it, the bones of it, I think could make for I mean, it almost seems like it would feel like a whole new Hitman game with the way that it works. It just, like, you choose a randomized set of objectives essentially, and it sends you to various maps within all three of the games, because now it's all one big game, which is cool.
Okay.
But within that, and like as you complete objectives, you can unlock new weapons and new like abilities and things like that. But you kind of have to know these maps well, I think, in order for it to succeed. And I haven't played the game in 2 years, so like I don't remember where things are. When I played then, I did, but so I don't think I'm going to play much more of it unless I were to like put a few hours into the original game to kind of remember the ropes, which is a bummer because it does seem really cool. Like it seems like what they're doing is pretty dope. But unfortunately don't think it's going to quite work for me. So instead, what I've been playing, Kamen, on my Switch is Persona 3 Portable.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Put about an hour into it, and I'm like just on the edge of being hooked. I just right before we started recording got to the point where I'm actually in the first dungeon. It's so funny. Like, so the first Persona game I played was 4, and then I played 5 a couple years ago when it came out. So it's like this weird, they're not related, they're not connected, but they're kind of like Final Fantasy in that way. But it's weird going from like a middle one to the latest one to then one that came out even before them, because it's like you can see the kind of original bones of 4 and 5, but it's just so simplified. Like there's not a space to walk around in, like when you're in your dorm, because they always take place like with around like a high school setting, and it's like a point and click adventure almost when you're not in the dungeon, which I wasn't expecting. But I'm excited. A whole new cast of characters, a whole new a new location. So I will report back. I only have a little bit to say so far, but already got some Persona excitement in the chat. Liz excited about it. Sweet Skeet, hey Nick, yes sir. Persona 5 Royal is my favorite game. Going to play Persona 4 soon. Persona 4 Golden, similar to Tony. He corrects his typo, but I can't bring up both of them. Persona 4 Golden was my favorite. Persona 4 Golden is like my number 3 game of all time. Like it's up there. It's like right behind the last stuff. It's just so fucking good.
It's an amazing game.
So I'm really excited to get into this one and see if it can push the envelope like 4 did. Because yeah, I loved 5, but I never played Royal, so I also want to go back and play Royal. Now, either on Switch or on Steam Deck, because I don't want to have to sit at the TV the whole time again. Because I've been on record before saying like the reason I loved Persona 4 was because I got to play it on my Vita and take it anywhere. And now that I'm playing Persona 3 on my Switch and not on my PlayStation 5 or 4, I'm excited that I hope we'll be able to kind of get that same fervor about it. But Kamen,
Sorry, I'm
Content on
over
what we've
here
been
like
playing.
trying to build. I'm over here trying to build out this list because you threw it on me at the last second.
But that's the fun of it, is that we don't know what we're going to say until we get to it. But we have a little more time to stew on it because we got a couple news items to discuss before we get into topic of the show. These will be some quick hits until we get to the building our definitive top 10 games on Switch.